Okay, so for this video, we are going to summarize chapter 7, which is entitled IP addressing. This chapter 7 it's somehow all about IP addresses. What type of IP addresses, what version of IP addresses we have, and if for or why we have those versions. So let's start. So IP addresses is like the address that will know where the message will be sent. For example, I know the IP address of the other the other PC, so it means I can send, and it's in my network, so it means we are connected, and also I can send to that IP addresses. Like that IP addresses the is the name of that PC. For me, that's what I understand. So IP addresses is it can contain letters and numbers, and also it divides by dots. So the IPv4 network address is a binary uses binary and decimal conversion, so that we are able to create an IP address using a binary and a decimal values, because IP addresses is composed of a binary values which is converted to a decimal for the user to easily understand it. And the structure of IPv4 it is a there's a 8-bit binary on the IPv4. It composed of 8-bit binary and 32 octets. Mm, yeah, 32 octets. 8 binary, and it can be unicast, broadcast, and multicast. On the previous summarization of this chapter, I already I already tell the difference between unicast, broadcast, and multicast. Unicast is it will be sent to a specific IP address, and the broadcast is a lot of IP addresses in the network, all IP addresses on the network. And the multicast is there's a choices for the IP address who will it going to send the data or messages. Types of IP address. So there are public and private. So in my other video I already discussed what IP addresses are public and what IP addresses are private. So if there are three private IP address, let's look for it, and it is this IP addresses. Between these IP addresses, they are all in private rather. Then on the IP addresses that's not included on those private addresses is considered as public. And if the IP addresses is private, it will be blocked, and if not, so it's not. So that's all for IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4, it's like there's an because of today's generation. It's I think it's the right term, but it's not the right term, but I will use it. A scarce We have now a scarcity of on IPv4 addresses, because there are so many devices in this generation that we're using, and most of them it uses IP addresses. So the IPv4 is, I think, um on 3 million plus or 4 IP addresses are available, but now some most of the most of the 4 million IP addresses are now used, and it's like malapit na siyang maubos. Then because of that, um, IPv6 was invented. Why? It's because IPv6 has a very long range of IP addresses. It can give a lot. There's so many IPv6 addresses on now because it's like 10 times the 10 times of the IPv4 addresses. So IP addressing mm, composed of a hexadecimal value that we can also convert to a binary, then IPv6 addressing. And there's an IPv6 address. There's um there's so many different. No, not so many different ways, but it's very different than IPv4 because on IPv6, if there's a zero on a hexadecimal, the zero will be omitted, and sometimes we use double colon if there's too many zero or if there's a zero to avoid zero on the IP address. But sometimes we can't avoid zero because there's an IPv6 address that there's so many zero to omit. So but we can use the double colon one time only every IPv6 address. Then type of IPv6, there's a prefix length and there's also unicast. And on this chapter we are taught of how do we how do we configure an IP how do we put an IPv6 configuration to our router or to our devices or to our switches. So the link local is always FE80 double colon. I think it's the next number is 0. Then what you guys? Okay. Then connectivity verification because there's an IPv6 and IPv4, so there also an ICMP. I think that's mean Internet Control Message Protocol. That will tell if the um if the message or data was received or not received by the receiver. And testing and verification is more on trace route and pinging. Trace route is we will notice how many hops does the data on the router. So if the hops are 0, then it will automatically go back to the sender. Then then cycle up to the receiver will receive the message. And the ping will verify if there's a connectivity to a two host clients or there's no connectivity at all. So that's all for today's videos. I hope you understand something and I hope you learned something from me, and thank you for listening.